fighting the Boer the way he fought us. I'll tell you what rule we applied, sir. We applied Rule 303. We caught them, and we shot them under Rule 303.
Letters from the front. The following letter has been received by Mr. N. Irwin of Reedsdale Junction from Private W. Gamble, a member of the 1st Victorian Contingent now in the Transvaal. Ensland Camp, January the 14th, 1900. We have been stationed here for 5 weeks today, guarding the line of communication. There are camps all along the line, about 7 or 8 miles. We have here a battalion of Gordon Highlanders, half a battery of artillery, and all the Australians, except the New South Wales Lancers, so we have a nice little camp. The big guns are not permanent and move up to the Belmont in honest Kloof as circumstances may require. Of course, we have viewed and examined well the battlefields of Belmont, Graspan and Ensland. It is almost incredible how the British could take some of the positions held by the Boers. At Belmont, for instance, the kopje overlooked the railway station, and from which the British charged is a hill with a steep ascent, something like those hills at Colaban Bridge, end of Green Gully, only more rocky. On top of this, the Boers piled up walls of stone and laid in any holes for cover, not exposing themselves at all. The British had to cross an open flat under a direct fire and then up the kopje, not firing a shot. Of course, the big guns were shelling the kopje. One Gordon Highlander told us he made a dig at a Boer with his bayonet. The Boer rolled a loose stone which knocked him down. He got up again and killed the Boer before he could hit him. The great need in these battles was the want of reinforcements to follow up the Boers after they were driven out of the kopjes, as then they could have scattered in all directions while on the open ground before reaching the next kopje. These battles have left behind them on the field signs of severe work done: dead horses, broken saddles, old shirts and boots, broken rifles, and we came across a dead man not buried. Our fellows buried him the day before yesterday. He was one of the Yorkshire Light Infantry. Poor fellow, he must have been wounded and missed by the ambulance. Fighting at Magersfontein is at standstill just now. The British are getting up plenty of big guns, and before this reaches you, you will hear of something being done. We were told that some of the siege-trained guns will split a kopje in two, so that the Boers' dome entrenchments will be of little use to them. The engineers are constructing a railway to surround the Boer position. Out here where we are, the Boers work in small lots and moving, so that it takes a lot of watching. If a camp is weak anywhere, they seem to know pretty soon. They have a lot of native spies. We have, of course, a couple of prisoners here now and have brought in several Boer farmers. Innocent, of course, according to their own account, but when a Mauser is found in the possession of one and dynamite on another, it looks rather suspicious. They are to be sent to Modder for trial by Lord Methuen. The country around here is fairly good, any amount of grass, but of a course native and very wiry, not very nutritious. There was no grass at all until we came to Graspan. The stock about here are cows, bullocks, sheep and goats. The cattle have a strain of native breed in them, very long horns and a lump on top of the shoulder, a fairly good back, and some show the fat off pretty well. We commandeered some vealers out in Orange Free State. They were very tender. I don't think the land would run many. There are no fences about here, just large runs. Stock shepherded by natives and put in kraals at night. There is a fence, 5 barbed wires between this and Orange Free State, about 4 miles east of our camp. Of course, it is all cut and torn up now. When we come across a fence anywhere near a farm, it is always cut in half, a dozen places with bayonets. The homesteads in Free State are fine buildings, finished up to date and every convenience. Windmills are on the wells, as they have to depend principally on wells for water. There are some very fine dams, gullies banked across, but they are nearly all dry just now. The kraals are all built with stone walls, and the manure gathered is made into cakes piled on walls, dried and used for fuel. We are using the same here in camp. The smell is not very nice. I don't know how it would be in a room. Peaches, apricots, grapes and pomegranates and fruit generally are to be found in the gardens. They are irrigated. They have very modern sheep dips in most places, and all sheep and yard floors are plastered to keep dust down. On some of the runs there are fine horses, much smaller than ours but more wiry. What we would call a weed carries a big man here in the roughest country. All the serviceable horses have been picked and only the mares and unbroken ones are left. I wouldn't mind having a few of the Arab mares we have run in at times. Our fellows have burned down some of the houses in the Orange Free State as they formed a good cover for the enemy. It seems a pity to burn grand furniture, etc. The bedrooms are left just as they were living in them, beds all made up, curtains hanging, etc. They are communicating between here, Orange and Modder River, by a wireless telegraphy system. Don't know how it is acting. First of all, a pole was erected 120 feet high. A squall came on and it went in halves. They tried kite flying, but a calm day came and snapped the wire, and away went the balloon up until it was a speck. It then burst and came down 2 miles from camp in tatters. They resorted to kite flying again. It's a very lonely, keeping sentry on top of a kopje at night. This is a great place for thunder and lightning, and dark nights are almost lit up by lightning at times. Then again we can see searchlights at Modder River, Kimberley and other places. Also the heliograph flashing out signals all over the country. War here has made this a different country. All day and night trains are going up and down with forage, rations, ammunition, etc. It's simply a marvel how the commissariat arrangements are regulated. No one has any idea of the quantity of stuff passed through unless they saw it for themselves. The climate is very much the same as northern Victoria, except that there have been no hot winds here yet. We've had very little rain yet, although over Natal side they are getting floods. It is showery today, and it is welcome, the dust around camp being terrific. So many horses and men, and the ground being of a sandy nature creates dust in large quantities. Sometimes a regular scum of sand gathers on our soup and tea. We're quite used to that sort of thing now. We have some very rare gallops when Boers are reported to be in the vicinity. It is then the saddles thrown on, and in 5 minutes we're off, and sometimes out for an hour, scouting, but we have not as yet fired a shot, although we often see Boers away in the distance. 2 of our fellows were fired on by 5 Boers, but no damage was done. 60 of the Victoria Mounted Rifles went out to Orange Free State with about 1,200 other troops. Well, here I am now in Ararat, I suppose the western districts of Victoria. Of course, Ararat was named for the mountain in Turkey where supposedly that fable about Noah's Ark coming to rest. Anyway, won't go into that. This is the town hall of Ararat. Looks pretty impressive. Of course, I'm looking for a Boer War monument, so could be anything. This is a very impressive fountain with sort of griffins or something like that on them. I'm liking it. With some sea serpents. Yeah, unlikely to be Boer War, I don't know. Hang on, no, I'm wrong. Shit, how do I get over here? Okay, I can just make it out. In honour of the district representatives in the South African War, who freely volunteered for service and gallantly upheld the prestige of Australia in that arduous campaign against the foes of Britain's throne. Wow. Oh, this has got to be one of the better ones. Look at it. It's fantastic. It's so sombre and serious. I'm kind of starting to think that the Boers weren't the bad guys in this conflict. Let me know in the comments what you think. Wow, look at that. Some sort of hangout for cockroaches. What are you guys doing? Where are you coming from? Sort of trying to hang in there. Alright, well, I'm going to turn back now. Head back to my place. Already been on the road a couple of hours. And there's the Ararat Town Hall. This is the best of them yet, as far as the look. Alright, stop recording.